The 2014 Cadillac ELR was the marque's most futuristic production automobile when it debuted, but after more than 56,000 miles in 8 years, how has this one aged? I bought my ELR when it was 2 years old, with 10,000 miles on it. It was a daily driver until the start of the pandemic. At that time, I went remote. Its longest road trip to date has been from Jacksonville, Florida to New York City and back, along with the usual regional road trips of 800 miles or less, while the majority of its mileage has been racked up during urban driving here in Jacksonville. While the ELR has been a joy, it hasn't been completely problem-free. After 8 years, the plug-in hybrid's lifetime gasoline average is 118 miles per gallon. While that sounds impressive, the average has plummeted from more than 150 miles per gallon since a GM recall was performed. GM announced a recall for the ELR in 2019. The notice read, "Loss of propulsion due to low cell voltage." Nowhere did the notice say if the recall was carried out, it would result in a drop in the battery's usable capacity. But in fact, that was the end result for me and some other ELR owners that had the recall performed, based on posts from fellow owners on 2 Facebook groups. Before the recall, my ELR averaged approximately 37 miles per charge in pure electric mode. Since the recall, my ELR has averaged approximately 31 miles per charge. Based on the car's kilowatts per charge reading, it is clear the Cadillac lowered the car's usable battery capacity. When I first bought it, my ELR could access anywhere between 11 and 12.5 kilowatts of the battery's capacity. Since the recall, the car usually goes from pure EV mode into hybrid mode once about 9.9 kilowatts of energy is used. The 2014 ELR came with a 16.5 kilowatt-hour battery pack. Automakers hold varying percentages of battery capacities back from use in order to prolong the life of the battery and to keep drivers from seeing a significant decline in range or performance. I have written GM and my dealer multiple times about the drop in EV range, but the response is the car's battery is okay, according to GM's warranty definition. GM warrants the ELR's battery for 60% of capacity for 8 years or 100,000 miles. I've experienced one out-of-warranty issue. My ELR's Cadillac Q started failing with a section of the touchscreen going bad. After researching the issue, I found a class action lawsuit had been filed over failing Cadillac Q infotainment systems. However, at last check, a California judge had dismissed multiple claims against GM, according to carcomplaints.com. When I started researching repair methods, one of the first videos I found had more than 100,000 video views, which seemingly provides a sense of how widespread the problem likely has been. I personally opted to replace my Cadillac Q with an aftermarket unit. However, it too is now starting to fail. It's now starting to go dark after about 20 minutes of driving. I want to stress that's not GM's fault since it obviously has no control over aftermarket parts. At the time of this video's recording, I'm still researching whether to install another aftermarket unit or repair my car's original Q unit. A significant aftermarket industry has sprung up to deal with failing Q systems. Outside of Q, the ELR's overall maintenance needs have been low with just oil changes, tires, and a set of wipers. The build quality is good and the styling is among the best to come out of Cadillac during this century. Even though it's 8 years old, I still get asked if it's a new car. And concerning Q, Cadillac isn't alone in having trouble with its touchscreens. Tesla, for example, was also facing a class action lawsuit over issues with its touchscreens, according to carcomplaints.com. For a 2014 model, the car's technology and styling have held up well. Although General Motors is pivoting toward pure electrics and has stopped making plug-in hybrids, GM's Voltec plug-in hybrid system remains among the best available. For example, a 2022 BMW 745e plug-in hybrid has a pure EV range of 16 miles and an EPA miles per gallon equivalent rating of 56. By comparison, the 2014 ELR came with an 82 miles per gallon equivalent rating and 37 miles of EPA-rated EV range. All the attributes I originally praised in my 19,000-mile review of my ELR remain true today. I'll put a link to that video at the end of this one and in the post at evrider.tv. Since then, the other aftermarket modification I've made to my ELR has been to add a sunroof, which has worked out well. In the original review, I mused over whether the ELR might one day become a future classic car, featured at high-level Concours d'Elegance events like Pebble Beach and the Amelia. Longtime award-winning automotive journalist and MyCarData.com reviewer Dan Scanlon has been covering the Amelia for decades. Here's how he sums up the ELR.
I would say this is a future collectible because of its shape. It's very limited availability, only about 3,000 were sold, and it's certainly a cool looking compact car. I think the coupe of this era of Cadillac is one of the best looking cars they ever designed, that and the CTS-V coupe. So yeah, I would say it's certainly a collectible because of the low numbers and the fact that it is a slightly different drivetrain than the Volt that it's based on. As far as a future Concours car, maybe when we get to the point we're looking back on electrics at their birth, and this was Cadillac's first and only for a while attempt, yes, but maybe not in the next 5 or 10 years.
One of the signs of any future classic car is pricing. Most cars depreciate over time, while classics reverse course at some point and actually begin rising again in value. Used car prices for the ELR have been trending upward for the past year or two. At the time of this video's posting, ELR used car prices on CarGurus.com range from about $20,000 to about $43,000, with just 4 2014 and 1 2016 ELRs listed for sale nationwide. But then again, used car prices are up in general due to the chip shortage and other new car supply issues that the pandemic triggered. When I originally reviewed the ELR, I predicted it would eventually become a classic. After owning the car for more than 5 years and watching Cadillac's plan to move forward with full electrification, I remain convinced the marque's first car with a plug will be a conversation starter at car shows for many decades to come. If you've enjoyed this episode of EV Rider, please give it a like and subscribe so I can bring you more reviews and EV-related stories.